love for the ride of your life.
What's going on, everybody? Aquatic here with The Real Report, and today's question: have you ever thought human beings could be reduced down to a simple equation? Well, Bill Gates and the Ministry of Propaganda, aka your only source of truth, the World Economic Forum, think so. Not only do they say we just don't need the vast majority of the population, but you can actually use this simple equation to find out the carbon footprint of your workforce. That's CO2 equals people times services per person times energy per service times CO2 per unit energy. Wow. So the more you know. You know, it's a good thing we don't need all those people, because places like Mexico only have 20 days of fresh water left. So, at least on the bright side, there you go. We need to get the carbon out of the water before we add disinfection. Las Vegas Utilities Director Maria Giveray recently told residents at a public meeting because the Las Vegas water treatment facility uses chlorine to clean water, but it becomes carcinogenic when mixed with carbon-infused water because of all the ash. Not to be confused with Las Vegas, Nevada. The 13,000-person city in San Miguel County relies solely on the now contaminated Galinas River, which is full of ash and debris after the Calf Canyon Hermit's Peak fire. Now, the city of Las Vegas, New Mexico, again, not to be confused, has 20 days of fresh water left, and the officials are searching for alternative sources to prevent contaminated water from flowing to households and businesses, according to CNN. Again, T-minus about 20 days. We covered this not too long ago. Also, American self-destructs with green energy. China preps for war with coal. The West's insistence on widespread implementation of green energy may backfire as China continues to use coal in preparation for war. Again, more war headlines, and also exposing the ridiculous ideas as the energy crisis, especially in California, is off the rails. I'm doing my part, though, to stress test the system. If they want to implement EV vehicles and charging by 2035, then, we should be able to run my air conditioner at 60 degrees Fahrenheit to keep things nice and cool. If you can't do that, and you and your 17 neighbors can't all plug in your welder simultaneously, I don't think the grid can handle 100% EVs and zero gas vehicles. But back to the report. California Air Resources Board, state's air quality regulator, announced a ban on the sale of new gasoline and diesel-powered vehicles by 2035. Look at that. Amidst the most painful part of the energy transition. But Governor Newsom says, do your part. Turn your thermostat up to 78 while he simultaneously is wearing a coat indoors, which ironically has a polar bear on it. Here out of Reuters, sweltering California urges conservation as power demand nears record. September 6, California's grid operator projected record-breaking power demand on Tuesday and issued an emergency call for consumers and businesses to conserve energy for the 7th consecutive day to avoid blackouts amid soaring temperatures. Now, unfortunately, the residents have decided that now is the time to grow a set of balls and to die on a hill. What I mean by that is a lot of Californians, and rightfully so, have said bafangu, and we're going to use all the electric we can. A little bit like I said, but they're leaving the air conditioners on, leaving lights on, running dishwashers, washers, dryers, water pumps, all that good stuff. And unfortunately, in this form of retaliation, they are 100% cruising for blackouts, which, you can put two and two together. As the ISO, independent system operator, urged residents to conserve power in the late afternoons, I believe they said after 4 p.m., and early evenings as the sun sets and the state's vast supply of solar-generated electricity recedes. Late in the afternoon, grid operator raised its emergency alert level to tap into programs that offer financial incentives to reduce energy use and seek more electricity from the market. So if you guys are out there amidst 110 degrees, I am sorry for you. But the good news is our power grid might be failing, but we're sending another 1.1 billion, not to Ukraine, but this time to Taiwan. So now Flint, Michigan doesn't have water, Californians don't have electricity, but hey, at least we're helping people on the other side of the globe. Philippines may allow the U.S. military access during the Taiwan crisis. American forces could use bases only if, quote, it is important for us. You know, as long as there's something in it for them, they'll allow it. Philippines would let U.S. forces use a Southeast Asian nation's military base in the event of a Taiwan conflict, quote, only if it is important for us for our own security. That's a little selfish, but hey. Also, keep an eye in China. 6.8 magnitude earthquake in China kills 46 additional missing, as I believe that's second or third earthquake in the last week, so kind of interesting. Also, hopping around the world, Erdogan, Turkey, issues threat of military action against Greece as that is a conflict heating up. Keep a very close eye on that. This article's from the 4th, but there's been articles up to last night with this. Now, keep in mind, because they have a lot of modern military equipment each, saying that Greece last month achieved radar lock on its F-16s, which have been flying over the Mediterranean. Again, that's Turkey's F-16s, and we've also been sending a lot of things to Greece, or Greece has been purchasing from other countries. It's certainly not an outdated military. Over here in the Middle East, IDF, Israeli Defense Force, says IAF F-16 jets escorted 2 US B-52 bombers over Israeli airspace en route to the Gulf earlier yesterday. Keep an eye as we move troops. I've also got bases and oil fields being rocketed. Now we've got B-52s flying over there as a show of force. We've obviously got Iran heating up as well, so you know, keep your head on a swivel. Accelerating Israeli-Iran offensive tensions, negotiations begin to buy 24 plus Su-35s. This article is translated from Russian. Absolute confirmation. Commander of the Iranian Air Force General has confirmed that Iran is buying Su-35 fighter jets from Russia. So again, my bad on the Israeli headline. That is Iran buying Su-35, somewhere between 20 and 40 fighter jets from Russia. I find this one interesting, what the time frame is on that, due to the propaganda that Russia has no air units or assets available in Ukraine, but are simultaneously selling to Iran. Also, Iran, as we covered in Monday's video, has been shipping up to 200 drones after the sale to the Russians to use in Ukraine. Also, Europe on the brink, back to the electric crisis. 70,000 Czech protesters flood Prague over energy crisis, demanding the ruling coalition take a neutral stance on the Ukraine war to ensure energy supplies from Russia aren't cut off ahead of winter. Yes, it turns out freezing to death in your home due to a war thousands of miles away, or hundreds, obviously depending on what side of the pond you're on, is not very popular for your own citizens when they can't eat or provide a safe environment for their kids. Who would have thunk? Protesters are outraged at the European Union for sanctions against Russia that have sparked soaring electricity bills and triggered a cost of living crisis. Much the same is going on in Germany, the UK, France, Spain, Netherlands, pretty much everyone in Europe, because they use about 75% gas for electric, and after the Russians have exited that market, they now need to find roughly 30-40% new sources of energy, and those are going to be farther away than Russia. Therefore, it's going to cost more. Therefore, prices are only going to continue to go higher. Czech PM blames Russian propaganda for mass protests. I don't know about that one. Exorbitant rise in energy prices forces Europe's top steelmaker to close plants. Who is John Galt anyway? Germany, the largest economy in the bloc, still faces historically high energy costs that have forced cuts in industrial output. The latest example in the world's largest steelmaker, which released a statement Friday about shutting down 2 plants and idling 1. Europe's top steelmaker said 2 plants in Germany, 1 in Bremen and the other in Hamburg, would partially close at the end of September. A plant in Asturias, Spain, will also be idled. So that's 3. The exorbitant rise in energy prices, which is devastatingly impacting the company's competitiveness of steel production. The decision to reduce metal output was also based on, quote, weak market demand and a negative economic outlook, as energy hyperinflation risks sending Europe into a deep recession. They are already in a recession. Wait for the depression. Also, amid the clown world level insanity, details of a ban on gas and oil home heating systems to be known within weeks. Now, this is out of Ireland. A ban on installing gas and oil boilers to heat new and existing homes is among the measures the government is finalizing as part of a package of energy crisis responses to be unveiled in the coming weeks. Absolute insanity. I would expect that out of California. Apparently, well, obviously, Europe, UK, Ireland is equally as bad. And this one is delusionally saying this by 2025. So, obviously, it's intentional. Renewed clashes in Tripoli threaten Libyan oil production. Renewed clashes broke out over the weekend in oil-rich Libya's capital as militia forces aligned with the government of national unity moved to ensure continued control after a failed attempt by the rival Eastern-backed prime minister to take Tripoli last week. Turkey, again, could play the role of kingmaker here with the ability to militarily intervene on either side. Libya hopes to boost output to 2 million barrels per day over the next 3 to 5 years, but progress may be slowed by the country's instability to resolve its internal political rivalries, with all factions vying for their share of the country's oil wealth. It is all about the money. People in Naples, on the other hand, are burning their energy bills and besiege the town hall, saying, quote, we don't pay the bills, now it will be chaos. In Naples, they don't joke around. Here's the clip. As you can see, there are at least several people who are more than fed up with the now unlivable exorbitant costs of energy and are only going to continue. And apparently the solution, according to Swedish PM, calls for decoupling electricity gas prices. Absolute insanity, because even if they do that, what are they going to do in 2023, 2024, 2025? This is not a solution. The Swedish government on Friday called for decoupling gas from the electricity pricing system, as this would lead to lower electricity prices. It says, quote, it is not reasonable that Swedish households and companies buy Swedish electricity that is produced cheaply but have to pay sky-high prices because many of our neighboring countries are dependent on Russian gas. Well, that's what happens when all of your systems are interlocked. Sweden, Austria start bailing out energy companies, triggering Europe's Minsky moment. So red alert there. Last weekend, Credit Suisse repo guru published what may have been the most insightful snippet of the entire European energy crisis to date when he extended the infamous Minsky moment framework to Europe, and specifically Germany, which he said can't cover its payments without Russian gas, and the government is asking citizens to conserve energy for the greater good, to leave more for industry. So you can be cold in your house and they can continue to make whatever it is they make over there. Minsky moments are triggered by excessive financial leverage, and in the content of supply chains, leverage means excessive operating leverage. In Germany, $2 trillion of value added depends on $20 billion of gas from Russia. That is, wow, that's 100 times leverage, much more than Lehman's. Yes, if you guys are familiar with Peter Zion, go watch his recent video this morning about the consequences of, well, pretty much everyone in the EU, because Germany is cruising to become irrelevant very soon here. Over here again, Italians shut down power as ridiculous energy costs soar through the roof. You guys ever been eating a nice meal, have the lights go out? You know, it might look romantic with the candles, but that also means the air conditioning's out. But don't worry, because one country has decided to start using their brains, and shockingly, it's France.
Well, there is late word from the French energy minister that the government will absorb some increases of the price of electricity. The comments come out of a meeting of key ministers today at the Elysee Palace, convened by President Macron to address Europe's energy crisis. The energy minister went on to say that gas deliveries from Russia were at their lowest level and that the state-owned utility EDF would restart dozens of nuclear reactors for the winter that are currently shut down.
Yes, so you guys heard that right. They are actually restarting dozens of nuclear reactors. Turns out nuclear isn't that bad and might actually be the solution. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for this one. We'll probably do a second video later. If you found anything of value, please consider leaving a like, commenting down below any interesting thoughts, because I read them all, and hitting the subscribe button with the notification bell. Also share with your friends and family, because we're now at 163 subscribers and closing in on 9,000 views on the channel, so that is spectacular. Thank you guys very much.